Hello and welcome to the Without the Bank podcast, where you and I are going to talk about all things IBC, the utilization of money, how the banks work, all that good stuff. Okay, today we are going to talk about what it's like when you have money and you have a spouse that is maybe involved, if you have somebody that doesn't want you involved, if you are a couple. And I don't care if you keep your money separately or if you keep your money together. Now, my husband and I have separate accounts. He buys what he wants, I buy what I want. We discuss things in the middle, right? But if he wants to go get himself a new gun, he can go get a new gun. I don't care. If we are going to remodel a house, if we're going to do something with a shop outside, then we will talk about those things together. What does that look like? If we have retirement, we will talk about that. If we have life insurance, we will talk about that. But littler things we do not discuss. But here's the thing that I am seeing with couples. We have a spouse, typically the wife is what I'm finding, that manages the daily finances. Okay? She does the budget. She buys the groceries. So most people will say, oh, she knows what's going on with the finances. She knows what's going on with the daily budget. Does she know where the money's invested? Does she know how much we're putting away into 401k? Does she know if we have life insurance? Does she know if I have a business? Does she know what's going on in that business? Him or her, it ultimately does not matter, because in our situation, even, my husband doesn't pay attention to a lot of that stuff. Shame on him. So here I am preaching to you guys the same thing that I have to try to deal with myself. If the spouse that manages not the budget, but the overall like investment, business, finance type stuff, if that spouse passes away, do they know what was going on? If you have a spouse that's an absentee spouse to finances, those conversations need to be had. I have those conversations. My husband does not love those conversations because he does not like to talk about me passing away. Well, I'm sorry, but we're all gonna die. We don't get out alive. And so we have to talk about it, regardless if you like it or not. Who do I need to talk to if you pass away, right? That I have told him, if I pass away, this is the person that you need to talk to, because they understand my business. They understand how to close everything up. They understand how to contact clients. They understand how my assistant's still going to get paid. How we're going to transition my clients to another agent. Right? All of those things happen. So if you are a business owner and your spouse is at home not working, how is that income going to come in? Where is that income going to come from? How does the business get sold? How do the things in the business get sold? Who's going to buy the business? What's the value of the business? What's the value of our 401k? What is it invested in? Who is managing it? Who has our life insurance? How much life insurance is there? It's truly amazing to me that we can have a spouse that's doing a daily budget, but that spouse is not involved in where the money is being managed. Now, if we're both making money and we have separate accounts, great, whatever. However that works for you. But please pay attention and have those conversations of what happens. I just got off the phone with somebody and he said, yeah, my dad has this business, but he has life insurance and my mom doesn't know. What do you mean your mom doesn't know? How does your mom not know that he has life insurance, and why is he keeping that from her? Does she know what the value of the business is? How do we make sure that there's going to be income there because she's not working because dad's making enough on the business? Why aren't we having those conversations? It is no different than if you come to me and say, well, Mary Jo, I want a life insurance policy, but I've never talked to your spouse. I just had this happen. I lost a client. He passed away, and now I'm dealing with a spouse I've never dealt with. It's not a fun conversation for me to have. I'm here to help guide you through not just the death benefit, but financially. And we met under kind of crappy circumstances, right? You can't even tell me there's a financial advisor out there that wants to meet a spouse after somebody's passed away. We want to have those conversations with both of you, ideally. Or at least if one of you is just going to have the conversation, can you take it to the other one so they know what's going on? Because somebody's got to make that phone call to me to say, hey, so-and-so passed away. And my question is, what do you want to do with the death benefit? Do you want it all right away? Do you want to put it into an annuity? Do you want to pay debt off with it? Do you want to explore some of our other avenues? It is nice to have that conversation before anything happens. We don't need to be having that conversation after the fact. Now, if you have a spouse that can't manage money, and now we're hiding things because we can't manage money, what's going to happen if you die first? All the savings that you had is going to be gone because they're not going to have learned to manage it. Now, this is another thing that I've met with quite a few people that their spouse couldn't manage money, and that's why we had the bankruptcy. Their name does need to be taken off of stuff. I totally 100% agree. But there needs to be a conversation and a lesson and look at deeper reasons why we can't manage money. Why do we keep buying stuff we don't need? That's like a deep internal, who am I trying to impress? Why am I not happy with myself? Like there's emotional stuff that goes with that. It's not just somebody who can't manage money. There's a psychological side to what are we doing and why are we doing it? And we might need to get somebody some help. If we are a control freak and we don't think anybody else can manage the money as good as we can, or we make all the money, so I'm going to control it and I'm going to tell you what you can and can't spend money on, we might have a problem there too. Most people are going to have marriage issues around money. I have so heard that is like the number one thing. That has not been an issue for me, but that I see it a lot where a wife is just following, and then pretty soon we're like 50 years old finding out that maybe this money hasn't been managed all that well. Now what do? Make sure that if you have something and you have stuff hidden, why? What is the reason behind that? Share that with your spouse so that they know. If you're concerned that they know that you have death benefit because you think they're going to knock you off, well, again, we have bigger issues, right? But do you know that your spouse is probably not sleeping at night? Probably not, because they don't know what's going on. Include them. My spouse has to listen. Like, I'm going to talk about it. He has to listen. And as much as he doesn't like to talk about it, he retains the information because I get it. I hear it later coming out. He's retaining it, but he knows where everything is. He knows who to talk to, all that good stuff. Make sure both people are included is the moral of this podcast. Don't be hiding stuff. Don't just hand it over to somebody and trust that they're going to do what's right. Oh, I've seen that go wrong too. Here's what I'm going to leave you with. I have a client that is 73, 74 years old, and he has been a widower for as long as I've known him. So 12 years better, right? Probably 15 years. And he said to me, and he is an old, stubborn German, doesn't know how to use the internet, refuses to meet me online, he's coming to the office. He said to me, if there was any advice that I would give young people today, it is know what's going on with your finances. He said, when my wife passed away, I hadn't ever gotten mail from the mailbox. I never paid a bill. She did it all. He said, I did not know what was going on and how to do those things. Now, granted, some of you may think that that's old school, but I see it happening in today's day and age with younger people. One of them is taking care of the kids. The other one is paying the bills and taking care of the finances. But they're not talking about it because they think they're too busy to have that conversation. Well, you know what? It gets a lot busier when somebody passes and all of a sudden you're scrambling. And you're trying to find all this out. And you're trying to do all these things. It's a partnership and we need to talk about it. So don't let yourself get into that situation where you find yourself in absolute chaos and not giving yourself the ability to mourn when somebody passes because we're trying to protect them or we're trying to control that situation. Everybody should be paying attention. All right. I hope you got something out of that. If you have questions, concerns, whatever, you know where to find me, Mary Jo at Without the Bank. If you have not gotten the book Life Without the Bank, please go to withoutthebank.com and you can grab the book there. But I'm always here to answer any questions, help in any way that I can. So please let me know. Otherwise, you guys have a great day and we'll talk to you in the next podcast.